Hello friends, it's Greg, and this week on the Blue Feather Ephemera channel, we're going to take a look at 18 advertisements that sold from my eBay store for $313.86. Then we're going to take a closer look at just a few of those, and we're going to see if we can find some comparable ads that have sold or comparable listings and see how these stack up. And the whole purpose is to see if we can figure out what helped these ads sell. So stay tuned for that. We're going to start off here with this advertisement from 1940. It ran in Saturday Evening Post. It's an ad for Absorbine Junior athlete foot treatment. And as I've done on other partial page ads in the past, I chose just a portion, the top part of this ad, for the primary listing image. But it shows the medicine. It right there, it kind of goes into too much detail about split skin between your toes, cracking open and exposing the raw flesh to bacteria and stuff. But anyway, interesting advertisement. Went to a repeat buyer in California for $14.77. This advertisement is out of a magazine called The Farmer's Wife 1939. This is a title of magazine that's new to me. I was able to get a hold of some, and I thought that I would try some listings from it. And this one sold for Brer Rabbit cooking molasses. And on the screen here, it shows a molasses icebox cookie recipe. The company is based in New Orleans, Louisiana, but this didn't sell to that city. This ended up going to Florida for $10.77 for this partial page ad. It's about 5 by 7. Next up is this nice partial page advertisement from Holiday Magazine, 1965. It's for a place called The Colony. And The Colony, it says it's the jewel of Jamaica. And down there at the bottom, it's got the location, Montego Bay, Jamaica, West Indies. And it says, discover the unique country club atmosphere. It talks about air-conditioned rooms and a championship golf course next door, white sand beaches and a freshwater pool, superlative cuisine and entertainment. So, like I said, this is a partial page ad. Here's the dimensions. Almost 3 inches by 7 inches, and $8.77 sent this ad to Florida. Here's a great advertisement that I've been looking forward to talking about all week for a couple of reasons. First of all, one of my viewers, we exchanged messages and shared some information and had a really good conversation. And she ended up purchasing this ad from Better Homes and Gardens 1942. And it's for the Nestle company and their product called Ever Ready Cocoa. And this is one of those that I chose to use just the top illustration from the ad. This is what the whole ad looks like right there. We'll go into some detail. At the top, it shows these little boys going out to play, and they're dressed up like doughboys. Well, they've got the doughboy helmets on, but they've got homemade Thompson submachine guns. And down at the bottom there, it just talks about how much energy cocoa provides. And it says here that it's the same delicious flavor that you'll find in Nestle chocolate bars. And because chocolate is a concentrated, energizing food, it's been selected by the U.S. Army as Type D emergency rations for the boys on the fighting front. So if it's good enough for the boys on the fighting front, it's got to be good enough for your little soldiers at home. And this was in Better Homes and Gardens. Again, a half-page ad right there, and the dimensions, about 5 inches by almost 13, and $12.77 sent this to that sweetheart in Florida. Continuing on the theme of the World War II ads, here's a great one from 1943. This ran in the Quartermaster Review magazine, and it shows here a pilot from the Women's Auxiliary Ferrying Service, and there is where it talks about that. It says theirs is the man-sized job of ferrying warplanes from factories to air bases for Uncle Sam. Expert flyers, each and every one. They are the best. And so we'll go in to look at some more detail there. It just talks about the tobacco and how they select the world's best leaves for their cigarette products. But $23.77 sent this beautiful advertisement to California. Next up, we have an ad for jockey underwear by a company called Cooper's, and that company's based in Kenosha, Wisconsin. They ran this advertisement in Life magazine 1954, and just taking a closer look here, it says that this jockey underwear can give you that at ease feeling of jockey, and you can feel as well dressed as you are, so don't settle for less. $16.77 sent this ad to Texas. Next up is another advertisement from that same magazine, Life magazine 1954, the very same issue as the jockey underwear. And both of these ads, by the way, have been listed for more than a year. These are some of the first ads that I put up for sale. So, when they talk about long tail, this is what goes in the Webster Dictionary under that definition. Long tail item, Shopsmith Mark V. It's a saw, it's a drill, it's a lathe, it's a sander, all of those things rolled into one. Let's look at some detail here about that. It says that it converts in seconds to a 9-inch circular saw, a 34-inch lathe, 16-inch vertical drill press, and a horizontal drill and a disc sander. So all of those things rolled into one. This sold for $16.77. It's on its way to California. Next up, we have just a magazine print. This is not a print advertisement. This appeared in 1930 in Fortune magazine, and it is the Vanderbilt family tree. And it says banker's interest for a reason. I'm going to go and zoom in on that part of this piece of paper. I guess this is the best image to look at here at the bottom. It says this is branches of the Vanderbilt family tree showing the chief lines through which the Commodore's fortune has passed. Other lines equally important to genealogists but not to bankers are here omitted. And so obviously in Fortune magazine, they don't care about the parts of the family that didn't come into all of the money. So I'm pretty sure that's the whole point of that. But over on this right side first, it talks about the crests of the Duke of Marlborough, Churchill, Spencer, and all of that based on the names here. And some of the titles, it looks like that the right-hand side of this, the Duke of Marlborough, Spencer Churchill, Lord Marquis, and all of that, that's the side of the family that didn't have the gumption to get up out of England and come over here to the U.S. But over here on the left-hand side, here we've got Cornelius and wife Alice, Cornelius III and Grace, Cornelius Jr., and Rachel, and all so on and so forth. But then you get up here to the top, and you've got Gloria, and Gloria is the Vanderbilt that was into clothing design. She made the Vanderbilt jeans and all of that. And if I remember my pop culture right, this piece of paper is from 1930. So sometime after 1930, Gloria gave birth to that news anchor we all know, and his name is Anderson Cooper. So real fun piece of paper. I charged $28.77 for this. It's on its way to New York. I'm up for always trying out new magazines, and I saw some of these up for sale. And based on the images, it looked like the advertising could be good, so I thought I'd take a chance on it. This is a magazine called Open Road for Boys, and this was out during the early part of the 20th century. And I think this might have been sort of affiliated with a group or association that competed for membership with the Boy Scouts of America. But anyway, in that magazine, Open Road for Boys, there was this advertisement well, it's more of a print illustration, but it does tie into the National Hockey League and the Stanley Cup, so it was advertised as such. This ran in 1945, and just looking at some of the detail there, it shows some of the trivia that's related to the cup, and it says that it was produced um, and placed in competition by Lord Stanley in 1893. The original cost of the Stanley Cup was $50. It was lost for several years and, according to legend, found in a rubbish barrel. There's all kinds of fun stories here. This one right here says the longest game started on March 24th at 8:30 p.m. and ended March 25th at 2:25 a.m. The Wings versus the Maroons. The Wings finally scored one, and that was the longest hockey game ever. Uh, well, I can't read it all, but it really is fun and interesting, though. This is art by Gene Mack, and it was in that magazine. $18.77 sent this to Massachusetts. I forgot to mention at the start. Last week, I mentioned that some of those advertisements sold with a special promotion that ran in my store. The purchase of two or more ads got you 20% off. That ended, by the way, but I've got a new coupon up in the store, 10% off of all items. And so some of these have sold since that 10% off started. Full disclosure, I don't want to mislead you about that. But I remember a few videos ago with the title of Optimize Your Listings on eBay, talked about running promotions to kind of boost your items in search results and trying to get into that top 5 or top 20 placement there for search results. Uh, so that's one reason for running those promotions. Not to get sidetracked though, here is a nice advertisement for the Mako 23. They're fiberglass boats from the Mako Marine Boat Company in Miami, Florida. And I also remember last week, this is what made me think of the coupons. Last week, I talked about how good these boating magazine advertisements are doing. Again, Boating Magazine 1972 produced this advertisement for these boats here, and $16.77 sent this ad to Michigan. I love every opportunity to make a referral to my friends' channels here so that you can kind of see how this stuff ties in with the messages and the topics that they're talking about. I'm going to put a link up here in the video to my friend Jiminy Flippet, who put out a short video over the weekend, and it's called Collectors Will Collect. And so he had a fantastic sale of 8 items, and I had one kind of similar. These are 5 items that sold to the same buyer. We'll start here with this advertisement from Budweiser, and it says that in those moments of well-earned relaxation, that a beverage of moderation proves a welcome companion. Budweiser matches your mood for a friendly chat or your mood for repose. It is considerate of tomorrow's obligations. So I can't think of a better way for a company to say you'd have to try awful hard to get plastered on our product and wake up with a hangover. So $18.77 sent this to that collector in Missouri. So this is a repeat customer that's bought from me before. It's a customer located in St. Louis, and they typically always look for St. Louis related products. And so I was happy to send them this ad along with the next four. The next advertisement also ran in the Quartermaster Review magazine, also in 1944. I only put $16.77 on this one. If I had it to do over again, I'd put it up at 1877 like that first one, just because of the scarcity of the publication. But when I was listing this, I probably thought, well, there's no color, very small graphic, and mostly text, and that may be why I only priced it at 1677. But when you look at the detail here, it's the same thing. The placement of the stars up at, well, can't see it there. There it is. The placement of the stars at the top of the page are different. Uh, the text is a little bit different, but it's still talking about the beverage of moderation and how important recreation and relaxation are uh, if you put in a lot of hard work. So another Budweiser advertisement. This is ad number two. Ad number three, also for Budweiser beer, also came from the Quartermaster Review, but this one back in 1941. It has a little bit more visual interest with the larger image there of the beer bottle and someone popping the cap. Budweiser crowns a flavor all its own. This text, let's look at that text. Almost identical to the last ad, though. Recreation and relaxation are staunch partners of hard work. In your well earned leisure, select a beverage of moderation. A tall, stately glass of Budweiser as a standing invitation to make your moments of relaxation complete. Again, that was almost word for word in the last ad. $14.77 on this one. Number four is also a Budweiser advertisement for the Anheuser-Busch Company, but it only mentions beer. It goes into detail about how their research about making beer yielded a lot of other products that are useful in the war industry. It says starch helps make munitions, batteries, and so much more. In the detail down here, it talks about the vitamins yielded in their corn products division, B complex, vitamin D, baker's yeast. They're making corn syrups and other syrups for foods, livestock feed. And then also on the equipment side, it says that they're making glider wings and fuselage assemblies for the armed forces, and they're even beginning to produce diesel engines. So, World War II ad, a lot going on in that era in the factories all across America. Fun and interesting ad. This one appeared in Woman's Home Companion, 1942, and it sold for 1877. I think we can all agree that pretty much all advertising is about manipulation. It's trying to convince somebody to buy a product that they might not otherwise buy, and that's the point of advertising. This ad here from Ralston Wheat Cereal Company, 1933, is way beyond what I'd consider your basic manipulation. They're throwing a guilt complex on mothers from coast to coast about Ralston cereal. In this ad, it's got your little Boy Scout here, and mother says, "Why was my son always left out? I didn't dream I was to blame." It goes into detail here about how this scout was sent home from the hike, saying that the scoutmaster named Doc, which I think is funny because my brother had a scoutmaster who was also called Doc, but Doc said that Billy better not try the hike because he would tire out like he did before. And so the mother goes to visit the scoutmaster, and he tells her, "Well, we were talking about nutrition at the troop meeting the other night, and I discovered that you're just not feeding Billy the right breakfasts." And it goes on to say how he would like Ralston wheat cereal breakfast, he would get the vitamins that he would need to grow healthy and strong and be able to do all of this stuff that he can't do now. It cracks me up. I'm going to leave this on screen here for just a minute, so you can screenshot this and read it yourself if you want to. But anyway, $18.77 sent this ad to Missouri. Here's another advertisement that's using a doctor to manipulate prospective customers. And in this ad, it talks about women doctors. It says that there are now 7,250 women doctors in the country. This is from Life Magazine, 1946, and it pays homage to Florence Nightingale and all of the others who followed after. And in the detail down here, it says men and women in every branch of medicine, 113,597 in all, were queried in a nationwide study of cigarette preference, and Camel was their favorites. So there you go. Doctors prefer Camel cigarettes. $16.77 sent this ad to Massachusetts. This advertisement ran in Fortune magazine 1941. It's the advertising firm of Young and Rubicam, and it shows a map of California where California is an island. We're going to zoom in on actually, let me go to this view. But in this ad, California is an island. And the ad says this is based on out of date, inaccurate information. And accurate information requires current and up to date research. And that's why this ad firm excels. It's because if you lag in such research, that could result in advertising campaigns that are as out of date as this map is. So, very interesting ad. I like their angle on the premise of the ad. $21.77 sent this ad to California. I'll just hit the high points here briefly because we're going to go into detail in just a minute. This ad here for Dole Pineapple Company shows an image of Hawaii, and it shows the outrigger canoe on the bay or lagoon there. And in the near ground, it shows another canoe that's just stuffed with Dole pineapple products. And so it's visually interesting. This is a two-page advertisement that ran in Life magazine in 1953. $18.77 sent this ad to Illinois. So there you've had a look at all 18 of my advertisements that sold during the past week. Again, the total was $313.86. But remember, I do run specials, promotions, offer coupons at times. Some of these ads sold with a 10% coupon. So keep that in mind. But I consider that those promotions and coupon costs are part of the fees and expenses for doing business on eBay. In a nutshell, as I've said before, my net costs for selling, which includes postage and these promotion costs, eBay fees, and all of that, comes to about 40% of the gross. So bear that in mind when you look at my numbers. Next, we're going to talk about our weekly topic, which is why did they sell? And we're just going to try to examine what it is about these ads in comparison with similar ads. Why did buyers go for these? I've put together just a few screens to help us with this very, very superficial analysis. I want you to understand that I'm just scratching the surface because um, my son, when he was 4 years old, he picked up a particular saying that I use all the time. When you would ask him a question, if he didn't know, he wouldn't say, I don't know. He would say, I can't know. I can't know. Well, there's a few things about these ad sales that I can't know, especially in comparison with similar advertisements. I can't know how someone felt about these images when they looked at them. So much of this is about an aesthetic, and that's variable. Also, I can't know if other sellers are promoting these. I don't know where they're showing up. I don't know if they generated sales inside of eBay or if they generated sales in eBay advertising off of the platform. So much about this is subjective. But anyway, in looking at these ads for Dole pineapples, one thing I can tell you is that when I searched Dole pineapple listings, this one of mine that sold for $18.77 was the only two-page listing anywhere in eBay for Dole pineapples that I could find. And that, I speculate, may be because either Dole didn't run that many two-page ads, or it may be that sellers don't want to fool with two-page ads because running them through a scanner, you've got to either put the images back together to get the full image, or you've got to just show the pages separately, which kind of blows one aspect of that aesthetic that we talked about out of the water. This other image that I chose to show on this screen is the only Dole pineapple ad that was priced significantly higher than mine, $24.99, and I redacted the buyers, or the excuse me, I redacted the seller's store information off of this, so I'm not disclosing anybody else's stuff on my YouTube channel. But anyway, um, that's a very beautiful, colorful image from 1938, and it is the only one like it up for sale. I can understand why they put it at a higher price point. It will likely eventually sell for that price point. But every other ad for Dole pineapples that were single pages that I saw were priced down in the 8 to 12, $15 range. So mine, even though it was priced a good bit higher than all the others, was the only two-page ad. I think that may be what helped it sell. And I didn't mention to start, but I meant to, that all four of these examples that we're looking at are advertisements from Life magazine, just because Life is a magazine, national publication, coast to coast, millions and millions of copies of this magazine out there. And so these ads of mine that sold would likely have had competition. So the second one we're going to look at is this 1954 for this Shopsmith tool. It's a Mark V, and it's a combination. We've done talked about what it can do. Mine sold for $16.77. The other one that's on this page is one that's up for sale but not sold. And look, it's about half the price. Their shipping's a little bit higher, but just solely based on what it is and what it's priced at, you'd think that that one would have sold first. But I think it's possible that eBay may have put it higher in search results because I'm a top rated plus seller and because I offer free returns. And so there's no way to know, but it's possible that mine ended up in top 5 or top 20 search results. And this other one, if the search title wasn't listed 100% word for word, it's very possible that eBay may have scored it lower and put it lower in the search results. Again, that's speculation, but that's the best guess I can make as to why mine sold. Now let's take a look at the 1946 Life magazine Camel cigarette advertisements, the one with the lady doctor there. And I found 3 copies. Mine sold recently. Before that, another copy sold. It's the one below mine there. It sold. It had been originally $12.59, marked down to $8.81. That's 30% off. But then on top of that, the seller accepted a best offer. Now, it did have very minor condition issues like small edge tears and a little bit of smudge on the page that was fully disclosed. I appreciate sellers that do that. And that is a good reason to mark down prices if asked or if needed to get the item moved. But then the other one that's up for sale looks like a perfectly fine example of this advertisement. And I'm wondering why, since it's almost half the price of mine, why didn't somebody pick it up instead of mine? And I think that it could be because of the way that they've listed it in the text of their title. It says that 1946 woman doctor photo, more doctors prefer, and then it says Camel cigarettes, vintage print ad. Now, on mine, I put the Camel cigarettes right up front, and it could be that whoever was looking for a Camel cigarette ad found mine far higher in the search results than what the other seller's ad would have shown up just based on the arrangement of the words in the title. Now, someone who had gone on looking for an advertisement that featured a woman doctor would have likely seen theirs first based on the arrangement of the words in the title. So I think mine likely sold before that other one that's still listed, maybe just because of the arrangement of the title wording. And this last ad that sold, this might be the easiest to address and the hardest to understand. Easy because all of these ads are very similar. Mine sold for 16.77. Another seller sold one for 12.59, just a little bit before mine sold. But there's one from that same seller that's up at that lower price right now that they passed over in order to buy mine. And I think in this particular case, all things are pretty much equal. The prices are in the same ballpark, shipping in the ballpark. We're both top rated sellers. We both offer free returns, and the composition of the titles are very similar. And so I think this just came to what it boiled down to is what the buyer liked. And they liked my ad, so they bought it. And I'm thankful that they did. As I wrap up this topic of why did they sell, I just wanted to point out there's a whole range of ways of doing business in this niche. You might depend on selling a whole bunch of ads every week at a low profit margin to make the money you want to make. You may be seeking to set a higher price point. You don't need as many sales, but you're not working yourself to death either. So uh, that's where I'm at. And even though I did this analysis to show you that even though these ads had competition, it was possible to sell them for a decent price. And I think that's because they ended up in search results in front of people that were looking to buy ads like these because I composed titles with keywords that people were looking for. And they got boosted in search results because I'm a top rated seller. I offer returns. I've got good feedback. I'm running promotions, so on and so forth. I think those things, getting the buyer's eyes on these ads is the most key thing because you can have a low price, but if you're not doing those other things, buyers may never see your products. So that's just my take on what it is that helped these ads sell. I hope you found something here that's a help to you. To recap the sales, I had 18 ads for $313.86. Didn't have any customer surname company matches this week. I did have one situation where the buyer city matched the advertiser city, but remember there was 5 ads included. All 5 were a match, but I just put one on the screen here. Global shipping program sales, none this week, but I did have 3 repeat buyers, and one of those repeat buyers bought 5 items. Thanks for watching the video this week. I hope you found something useful in it, and I hope you come back and visit with me next week. Hey, while you're here, I want to invite you to visit my eBay store, Blue Feather Ephemera. The link is down below in the description of this video. I always say that if a thing was made, sold, collected, celebrated, or built, you can bet it was also advertised. Classic vintage advertising makes great decor for your bar, restaurant, man cave, salon, garage, anywhere the right vibe is essential. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, please hit the like button, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time.